You've from the aspect of going from seven guys to 4 guys, from your time working, in the press, in the media. What I hear from that, or when I see articles or I see some sort of content being produced, I think about people over complicating the thing that they're doing, right? When you can say something in 5 words, but you say it in five pages, people's ADD, the most popular YouTube videos, yada, 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 people overcomplicating content. As a producer of material, how do you kind of spec out your thoughts and then articulate it to be in the least amount of words possible, or the least amount of time possible, so that you will likely get people to stay there and to retain them?
It's a lot easier because I'm on both sides of the fence. I think it'd be harder to do it with someone else who wrote the script. But I'm not precious with my words. I think it was Faulkner who said, you have to kill your babies, basically, that, don't hold your words so precious that you can't cut them or change them. So it's just a matter of showing the script to people who are not just going to say, oh, you're such a great writer. People who will critically look at, people I know who will critically look at my scripts and say, that person doesn't even need to be in the script, right? So you need to surround yourself with people who will help make you better. And I think you need to do that, whatever business you run or whatever venture that you get into. You need someone to be able to, you have to be open to change, and you need someone who is willing to be honest with you about making that change.
From a critical standpoint, how do you recognize that that person is making feedback that you should implement? And I'll give you the example. So you go to like a 1 million cups, or you go and you pitch your idea to any kind of business forum, and the person who's giving you feedback has just watched Shark Tank. They've never run a business, right? Or you don't go to your accountant and ask them a dentist question, or how to fix your washing machine, likely, right? But you get this information. People are providing information out, yet they aren't, quote unquote, industry experts, or they don't have any experience in that world. How do you, as you're looking for this critical feedback from individuals, recognize that that person is telling you something that you should listen to?
Well, it doesn't have to be someone in the industry. I'm open to hearing from anyone. And, people who love movies, who don't necessarily make movies, know what they like and know what works for them. And so I am more than willing to listen to someone who just loves movies and has never made a movie. People talk about the NFL and their coaches who never played the game. And some people are critical that, why should I listen to this coach? Why are they a good evaluator of talent? They haven't played the game. Well, there are different things that they've learned along the way as far as scouting and evaluation, and sometimes having that different perspective of someone who's never made a movie and says, well, this doesn't work, or why are you doing this? What, this line isn't funny, or what about if you thought about this? So I'm constantly looking for people who are willing to put our friendship aside or our business connections aside and say, well, what do you really think about this? Does this work or not? Is this a movie that you would go see? And I send them my pitch decks. Is this something that, I'm not asking you for money, but is this something that you think people are going to get behind?
I'm curious about the local area in terms of, are they supportive of the film industry? You had mentioned that you filmed one of your movies in 3 states, and one of it wasn't in Virginia. Is there a reason for that? What is it like doing film in the local area and even in the state?
Yeah, the first movie I made, I was living in Ohio at the time, so that's why I shot it mostly in Ohio. When I moved to Virginia Beach in 2013, and I relocated my production company here, And I started working on scripts to make here, and I took a job at Hampton University to become a professor, and it really opened my eyes to the need for diversity. And so I decided to make a movie with a predominant African American cast, and that's when I crowdfunded for Mother of a Day, which is a family comedy about a man who forgets Mother's Day. And it's one thing to forget your anniversary because you upset one person, right? Same thing with a birthday. But if you forget Mother's Day, think about all the women in your life. Could be your wife, could be your mom, your mother-in-law, your daughter might have a child. So all these different people. So when he wakes up and realizes he forgot Mother's Day, he has to sneak out of his house and find gifts for all the women in his life and sneak back in before they find out. So I made that, we crowdfunded it through Indiegogo. We shot it in Virginia Beach in Portsmouth, and it premiered at the Narrow. It also played at the Ale House in Virginia Beach and at a theater in North Carolina, because one of the cast members was from that area. And we had a very big crowd at the Narrow, and we had a red carpet that in proportion to the size of the budget. So I had a red handkerchief and a little rope, and so people would put their foot on the handkerchief and get their picture on the red carpet, with the hopes that the next movie, which is Kill Devil Hills, so when we do that premiere, I'll probably have a red towel because that budget was bigger than Mother of a Day. But go ahead.
No, I guess I'm just thinking, listening. The production, and a terrible pun, but I mean, the production to do something like this is huge. But in terms of like an economic impact for doing something of this scale, I mean, you have production crews and food services and sets and cameras and lighting and all. I mean, there's so many people that take part in doing something like this. I would think that the local area or the state would be welcoming, film here, film here, film here kind of thing, just in the sense of we have water, we have mountains, we have so many different things that you could probably do a lot of different scenes and a lot of different takes with all within Virginia.
The state of Virginia is an undiscovered gem. I mean, really, you have the mountains, you have the beach, you have the woods, you have the swamp, you have all these different locations and sites, historical sites where you could make a movie. And, so I am constantly banging the drum, trying to get more movies made in Virginia and trying to, raise the funds to make bigger movies in Virginia, because the state has so much to offer. And
yeah.
Wasn't what's that zombie show? Didn't a lot of that get shot? It used to be in Atlanta, and now some of it's being shot in Virginia. Like when I'm
Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead. Isn't that? Yeah. Because if you think about it, like maybe 10 years ago, I feel like the state made a really big push for alcohol to be consumed on premise. I guess that was some Senate bill. Can't remember the number. But that really, I think, pushed kind of the craft beer movement in the state of Virginia. Is there something like that that's being proposed or has happened from a film industry perspective? Because you hear people that are in your shoes that say, hey, we want to do more in Virginia, and it doesn't seem like Virginia is as welcoming as some of the other states. If you think about production, you think about New York, you think about LA, I guess a lot of stuff in Georgia. Is Virginia actively pursuing stuff like that? We just haven't seen it.
Yes, Georgia ramped up their tax credit. I mean, they offer an enormous amount of incentives for you to shoot there, and a lot of people shoot there. I mean, Tyler Perry has his own studio there, and that is something I hope Virginia will look at and go, oh, okay, we need to step up, right? They do offer production credit, but you have to spend a lot more. So the smaller productions don't necessarily benefit. So I think there should be a 100% would be nice. But, I think if they went up to, I think Georgia's maybe 45%, 40 or 45%. I think if Virginia stepped up their game, they would get a lot more business, a lot more TV and movie productions shot here. I think it would, if you have productions here, a lot of people gather, a lot of people spend money. It brings a lot of publicity to your state. I think it's a win-win.
Yeah, I think there's a lot over the years. I mean, you've heard me talk about this kind of just from the 1004 perspective of, create 1,000 companies with 4 employees each instead of trying to recruit 4 companies with 1,000 employees. And what's interesting to me is when I hear that, it's like I feel like Virginia and a lot of the localities in the 757 aren't thinking of kind of small business in the same way that many, I think, do think of a small business, right? They think of a small business as 500 people, because that's what kind of the cap is. Where an independent filmmaker like you could have a smaller staff, but make a big impact, and people could really get behind it. And I think if there was more of those that jumped on board, you have a numbers game in that perspective. I mean, you're not everyone's going to be the whatever the biggest production companies are, but they can grow into them. And if you get a bunch of people that say, hey, go to Virginia, go to Virginia, go to Virginia, I think that can make a big impact. And so obviously I create a business around that kind of mindset. And I think it's an unfortunate miss often by the state of Virginia on stuff like that. And I think they should support it differently. I think they say, I think they're talking heads and they say one thing, but I don't think their actions actually push it. And now my rant is over on that. But I mean, it's unfortunate because not every big, these smaller businesses don't get the same incentives as some of these other ones, like you were saying. And it's like, hey, like we can make the same thing. We can still sell and be really big in this kind of case, but you're still attracting the big whale instead of a bunch of, minnows, if you will.
Yeah. Virginia, they'll give you a tax incentive if you spend, I think $250,000 in state, but there's specific kinds of spends. Well, I could make 2 movies with Hollywood talent for $300,000 each, but I might not meet the spend threshold that they have, and so I don't get the tax incentive. And I know people would be a lot more willing to fund my movies if they know, oh, we're going to get 25% off taxes on this. I have old girl mysterious drama, and I have a crime drama called Chagrin. And Chagrin has 10 Hollywood actors attached to it. Old girl has 2, plus the most successful Chinese composer in movie history attached to the movie. So, I have the opportunity to do this business in Virginia, and I would hate to have to go to another state just because it makes more financial sense.
Well, one thing that's a really, really cool company that you may not have heard of, but it should be on everybody's radar, especially if you have a really, really cool property that you own, is called Gigster, Gigster. And so essentially, it's unlike, think Airbnb, but you rent out your property. And so Gigster, they are the middle person. They work between the production studio and the owner of the property, and they do all the contract work. They do the before pictures, make sure that document that, put all the insurance in place or whatever that needs to be put in place. They move everything in, and then they make sure that the property is returned in the exact same fashion as it was before they came in. But people can list their own properties. So, and as all of this production is going on, you can search different production locations where crews can just go in and use someone's property for a weekend. They do all their shoots and then they're done. And it's super innovative, super cool what's going on. And maybe if more people in our area listed their properties as places that people could do shoots, that would be another way of bringing to light the cool factor of Virginia, if you will, from a movie production. But they do it for movies. They do it for TikTok, Instagram influencers. They do it for any content that's being created, and they're just growing like gangbusters right now because they're just totally disrupting that space.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I went out to, I found a lot of locations that allowed me to shoot on the property for free because they could market it and saying, hey, a movie was made here. And, that helps them draw interest in their property, whether they're renting it or they want to sell it.
Are you stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at ZachMillerSays.com/Anomaly Academy.